I complained about the mud, so they gave me snow. The quiet girls? The loud girls? One of the loudmouths is outside on the window. Probably can't figure out how to get in here. How is my most beautiful couple? Be kind to each other, please.
Success since it is not nice to laugh at the funny things we've done. He says we did funny things too when we were 4 years old. We are more than 4 years old and we still do funny things, said Rachel. Levi and comments soon as he saw the buggy have to go home now. Peter and Rachel were on the buggy. Goodbye, Levi. Goodbye, Susan.
You want to pull a bag of Brussels sprouts? In the freezer, in the coat closet.
Are you ready? Take it up Please?
I know.
Please.
Thank you.
Parachute.
And I'll take a frying pan for
Right.
the
For the what?
Brussels.
Not parachute.
Why is it called 2% of soil?
Oh!
What?
Put a shell in my
Is that good?
bowl.
Good.
Got confused, you know?
Talking games.
I've done
Rachel
that
was
before.
playing a talking
Like
game.
I'm throwing out the onions.
Under the
Keith.
fire the house.
I've done that before though.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to throw something away to save it, and then you start throwing away to save things.
At the same, at
Exactly what it is. Oh, we got a shell in here.
Rachel was playing
I think I'll do a
under
Friday.
the tree
A Friday? You want me to save you one?
at the same time.
I mean, yeah.
It's just Rachel
How many
was
scrambles you got? 20?
Rachel was
1,
playing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
September?
This is why we need more chickens.
I think I know what I want to do.
And would you and Peter like to go
And then I was gonna,
to Levi and
I bet that at some point, well, if, but I figured I don't want to watch that, but you.
Yeah, please don't.
go
But I thought about going to 12 today and filming that then.
This is the time to start a YouTube channel. Everybody's looking for
Yeah, those are the eggshells. Don't put them in the egg. What color are these eggshells?
Cool.
White. What color are these ones? Yellow, you think? I think brown. These eggs. Me. Did the cats lay these eggs?
No, you.
I didn't lay these eggs. No?
No.
Chicken.
No, Dad.
Dad, did you lay these eggs?
Yeah.
Dad says he did it. Now Mama cracked the eggs and put them in here, but the chickens laid the eggs. I got 2 eggs this morning. You want to do it?
Like that, huh?
My eyes are so scary.
Oh.
What do you have to say?
Welcome back into another video.
Lou, what's wrong?
Press that like button. Make sure you slam that subscription button.
You slam that subscription button now. The piece of manifesting our homestead vision that we're working on today is our 2020 farm plan. Because the farm is pretty much dormant through a lot of the winter, we don't really start executing our plan until the snow melts and the ground warms up a little bit. So we're getting very close. But that being said, we didn't have to have our farm plan completely ready to go January 1st. So here's what's on the agenda for 2020. I just finished ordering chicks, which is always super exciting. I ended up going through Cackle Hatchery because they had no minimum or a smaller minimum on their turkey orders. And I'm very excited that we are going to have turkeys on the farm this year. We've never raised turkeys here, so I'm not sure how well they'll do. The plan right now is to get 5 blue slate turkeys. They do not come sexed, so we have no idea if we'll have males or females, but my goal is to keep 1 male and as many females as we can and breed them for next year. It can be really difficult around us to get blue slate turkeys. Pretty much have to order them. I'm always watching and hoping I can pick some up locally, and in 2 years I've never found any. So this should be really nice to be able to have those turkeys on our farm, in addition be able to sell some of them each year to help recoup the cost of keeping the turkeys. Next, on the chickens. For the egg birds, right now we have, let's see, 2 or 3 cochins left over, full-size cochins. Those are the black ones, and I might even have a white one. And then the rest are all Rhode Island Reds, 2 generations of Rhode Island Reds. So I have the older girls, the younger Rhode Island Reds, and then my leftover cochins. And the oldest set of Rhode Island Reds, I'm guessing, are probably 3 or 4 years old. So they're laying less often now, but larger eggs. So sort of a trade-off, but probably next year we will butcher that oldest generation of Rhode Island Reds, process them for the freezer, and I wanted to have something to replace them with. We need about probably 20 to 25 eggs per day would be really right for our family. And right now, granted, we are still slow from when they slow down in the winter laying. But we are only getting about 8 or 9 eggs every day. So we'll see what happens this summer. But all to say, I am buying replacements. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go with pretty eggs or pretty chickens. But after having pretty chickens, it seems to me that the prettier the chicken, the dumber the chicken. So I'm going with plainer breeds and hardier, smarter breeds, good foragers, things like that. And then looking for ones that lay good colored eggs, different colored eggs. I want to select, I want to be able to go out and collect a rainbow assortment of eggs every day. So right now most of ours are a medium, I'll say a medium brown egg, which is really pretty. I do like that. But we have ordered some, oh, what was their name? They are olive eggers. So they'll be varying shades of greenish colored eggs. And then I'm hoping next year I'll be able to do blue eggs. So we've only ordered 10 of those, but that should be a good addition to our flock. In addition to our 10 green olive eggers that should all be female, I've ordered 1 rooster, and he will be a blue-laced Wyandotte. I really think they are some pretty laid-back birds, and I've had Wyandottes before, and they seem pretty smart and good foragers. I wanted a rooster that would be good to his ladies, but not overly aggressive. So about 2 weeks ago, we actually lost our rooster. We had a cochin rooster left, and we are looking to replace our rooster. I like to keep one rooster with the girls, seems to keep them motivated a little bit more for laying, and additionally, kind of my insurance policy, if anything should ever happen and I cannot order chicks, or I don't want to order chicks, I could go ahead and hatch out all of my fertile eggs. Meat birds. We are going to be raising 100 meat birds, which I will be buying from a different local hatchery and saving on shipping, and they just had a better price on the same bird. So I will be getting 100 of those. We will be raising them out on pasture, moving them every single day. And the exciting part about that this year is we are going to process them on our farm and not have to stress the birds and bring them anywhere. The milk cow. Our plan with Miss Royal, our milk cow, she will be having a calf in the next probably 1.5 months. And then we need to be milking her. She has super short teats, so we are hoping to have our milker all set up. We are close, we have all the parts, we just need to put everything together and decide where we are going to do this. Scott built me a portable stanchion last year, and I guess by portable you can move it around, but it's not something you would want to move every day. It's pretty heavy duty, but it's nice to be able to milk outside in the sunshine in the summer and when the weather's nice. But also, if we'll be milking into the fall, I do want the ability to bring it in. So our milk setup is going to have some different options so that we can milk either outside or in the barn. With all that milk that we're going to be getting from Miss Royal, we are going to be working on our cheese making. I'm actually part of a Kickstarter right now for a countertop cheese maker. Little bit of a delay, I was supposed to have it already, but it's coming. And so we want to be making some of our own cheese. I don't really think that I'm going to be making all of our own cheese. And we also have a cream separator. So I'm anxious to see everything that we can do with that. I want to be making yogurt, just making a lot of the dairy products that right now we are buying because we are not in milk. The pigs. We are going to be farrowing a litter this spring. And then originally I was planning on only doing 1 litter, but now I'm considering doing a fall litter as well and weaning those piglets from the first litter maybe a little bit earlier, because I'm thinking that maybe I can find somebody that wants to trade another Jersey cow for an entire litter of Idaho pasture pigs. Around here, Idaho pasture pigs go for probably anywhere between $75 and $200 for a piglet. And I think that could be a pretty good deal for somebody. The other option would be to find somebody that wanted pork. Maybe they didn't necessarily want piglets, but they wanted pastured pork, and work out a deal that way. So I am considering doing that since we have our sow and we have our boar anyway. Maybe that would be a way to get another milk cow onto the farm without having to dip into our personal budget. The garden. Right now our garden is 1 acre, and last year while we were trying to simultaneously do the remodel and the huge garden, really we got into the weeds, literally. The garden itself did really well. We had some problems because we had volunteer plants that came up everywhere. A lot of my plants from year 1 self-seeded and decided to make a reappearance year 2, so we were contending with that, and all of the weeds, whatever we had done, must have made the ground very, very fertile, because we had these weeds everywhere, and I do not have 40 hours a week to weed. So I feel a little bit like I'm caving and I'm cheating, but we are going to use some, I guess it would be like called sheep. No, probably not called that. So we are going to be using a system this year that uses some tarps and covers the ground, and then we will be using a template to burn holes through that and planting into those holes to minimize our weeding. The other piece we need to work on is something for deer management. We have a lot of deer on this farm, and they do venture into the garden. They ate a good portion of my kale last year and also some of my sweet corn. So we are going to be working on a fence system for that. Fencing the entire garden would be about $2,000 if I just went out and got deer fencing, and that's not in the budget. So we will be looking at some alternatives, perhaps fencing the worst side with the expensive fencing, and maybe using some kind of netting for the other sides this year, and then possibly adding on the good deer fencing, maybe one side of the garden per year or something like that, so that we can spread out that cost. The aquaponics system. So now more than ever, it seems important to be self-reliant and have access to your own food without having to go anywhere or rely on a grocery store to be open or truckers to bring food in. So one of the pieces that we're working on is the aquaponics system in our basement. Right now it's in the very, very early planning stages. There's nothing down there for it, but we have really two basements. We have the old basement, we call it, and the new basement. The new basement is beautiful. It is brand new. We just did it with the addition last year. Nice concrete floor, concrete walls, tall ceiling. The old basement is not as nice. In fact, there's one section of the old basement that still has a dirt floor, and that was used as a root cellar probably by many generations, but our plan is to put our aquaponics system in there. It's a big room, probably, I don't know, 200 or 300 square feet, and we are going to get our setup in there. If you're not familiar with what aquaponics is, it's a system of growing plants or produce and fish or something similar to fish together in one system, all working together. The fish waste feeds the plants, the plant media cleans the fish water, and on goes the cycle. Lots of different setups and different options. Some where you're even growing your own fish food, some where you're harvesting and eating the fish, some where you're just using the fish for their waste. All to say, it's a system we can set up in our basement. Little bit trickier to do it inside versus outside. We did it in Florida outside, and that was much easier than what we're gonna have to deal with here. But with lights and some fans and some temperature and humidity controls in that room, I think we're gonna be pretty successful and going to be able to have quite a few of our own vegetables in the winter months around here. Some vegetables don't do quite as well in there, maybe root crops, things like that, but greens, pretty much everything else does really, really well in an aquaponics setup. And there's, again, lots of different plans and styles you can use. We're gonna do some media beds and then some floating raft system, and we're excited to get started on that. And then lastly, for the farm plan for 2020, we are going to bring baby number 8 into the world in August. Even though that's not necessarily farm related, it is another farmer for the farm. So that's going to be important nonetheless. So that's it. If you don't have a farm plan, you do need to sit down and make a farm plan so that you know what direction you're heading, and make sure you are all on the same page and get it written down so you know what you're working for. Have a blessed day.